Hey, Ricky, are you in a hotel room? Why, yes. And why do you sound like you've been gargling glass? Why, yes. Hold on, I want to make it look a little nicer in the background. This is my Silent Hill blanket, and it's like a prized possession. Look how fancy we are. I'm currently at Mohegan Sun at the 2024 Terrificon show. And this is my first time here, but I think even longtime vets will agree that there have been some things happening at this show that have never happened before and will never happen again. I was given the opportunity to meet an actual S tier, A list, actively working $380 million net worth celebrity who is only going to be doing an autograph signing for 2 hours before he helicoptered back up to Valhalla or whatever the hell he does with his life. And so you know your boy and how much he loves exclusivity, but the story has some twists and turns and some bad actors online. It's got it all. So I'm gonna go into a chair, get a little comfortable. I'm gonna tell you the entire tale. Let's go to the chair. It's a little overwashed, but I love this view from my hotel room of just beautiful Connecticut. This is amazing. Natural property. Like the inside is a casino at Mohegan Sun. Like anything else, it's a hellish landscape of consumerism and vice. But surrounding the campus, it's just beautiful nature, and there's lots of wildlife and birds that fly in the building and stuff. Again, still a hellish hellscape on the inside, but outside it is beautiful. Okay, so 3 days ago on Wednesday, I was leaving for the con on Thursday, and this message from Lunch Money Comics pops up. I'm going to put it over here. It is so sparse, the information. There's not a lot in here, right? Not a lot to unpack. The fact that Keanu Reeves is going to be doing a limited signing to just 100 people. All my alarm bells start going off when I'm looking at this. It's not showing up on the Terrificon website. It's only showing up on Facebook. The comment section is exploding. People are like, "This is fake news. Do your own research." And it doesn't and does seem real at the same time to me. Like, if you were going to get a big name like Keanu Reeves, yeah, it would probably only be for like 2 hours. And if you did get him for only 2 hours, you'd probably get like what 100 people to get autographs because it would be a madhouse, right? No, it was real. This is the story that I heard from later on. Mitch, I've apparently he's quite a figure at this convention. He seems to be the like the owner proprietor of Terrificon, a really big personality. And so when I was later on at the line, he's coming down the line. He's telling the story about how he didn't believe it. Garney, the comic book artist for Berserker, was already going to be here. And the local lore that we got from Mitch and we heard from other staff was it was very much like Garney texting Keanu, "Hey, I'm at this convention in the area and I know your band is on the tour. You should stop by and see the fans, LOL." And Keanu was like, "Yeah, sure." And from there, it was a runaway train of a $380 million A-list celebrity and his team attempting to cobble together an unprecedented last-minute comic book convention add-on. And so this guy Mitch, he's dropping calls from Keanu, not being sure that like he's actually talking to Keanu Reeves on the phone. He's just as weirded out as we are. And so he's reporting all of this to us in the line. And so those are the snippets of that story. But the rest of it, what from the fans' perspective, was this one post online. What do we do? Is this real? Where do we go? So when we got here at the convention, me and some of the other comic YouTubers that you're going to see appear in videos, and you'll see me in their videos over the next couple days. My first mission was find where they're handing out tickets, because based on this information in the post, I was like, okay, I gotta be in line to get my tickets. And it's going to be like imagine if you go to Disney World, right? And you go to the ticket booths and Disney made an announcement that said, for the first 100 people that want this Mickey popcorn bucket, as you naturally would come into the park, we're going to give you your own stuff. We're going to give you the popcorn bucket option. So my impression from reading that post was that, oh, damn, the first 100 people are going to show up. They're going to be offered the ticket, and that's how this is going to work. I was going to be first one in line Friday morning. So Thursday night, me and a bunch of other comic YouTubers were standing around a bar in this casino. Another update on Facebook. Now it's saying, don't line up before 8 a.m., but be here at the ticket area, and you'll see this sign. And then this sign, that's where you should line up to meet Keanu. And then the first 100 people there will get admittance to meeting Keanu Reeves. So I go, bet. My ass is gonna be up at 4 a.m. I'm gonna be showered, dressed, and ready, and I'll be walking out my door at 5 o'clock to get in that line. I'm in the hotel. I have the advantage of being here. 5 a.m. seems reasonable to me. So me and Brandon from Mon Comics, he's like down. He's all the way down. Call that man an elevator. And I wake up at 4:20. For real, like naturally, that's when I woke up. Showered, dressed, ready to go. I get down there at 5:10 on the button, and there are already 18 people in line. So I take my spot. So I get in line, and Brandon's about a half an hour behind me, but the line's so small, and everybody is counting on like, okay, we're here. So if we're under the 50 mark before people get here at 5 in the morning, no one really cared that Brandon showed up like a half an hour later, and then he joined me in line next to me. But we're getting friendly with the people in the line, front and back. We're talking, and hotel staff is getting kind of nervous. So hotel staff doesn't like know what to do with us, because here's the deal. I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with policies on drunkenness or vagrancy or what, but this hotel will not let you pop a squat. You are not allowed to sit on the floor for any reason. I can't explain it, but they're very strict and very firm. So like if you sat on the floor for 6 seconds because you had to like take your shoe off and put on another shoe, legit ninja style, like the wallpaper will move and a staff member will show up and will immediately tell you that you need to like get up off the floor. It's real. So it's 5 in the morning and people are really early and they're inside in a comfortable air conditioned facility. Some people were trying to nod off. Some people were sitting down. The staff, they're on you. No, on your feet. But they don't know what to do with us. They don't know if is this real? They're here to meet who Keanu Reeves is going to be here. What's going on? So they're just as confused as a lot of the con goers. And so we're still kind of in the Wild West at this point. Like we don't know. We were told not to be here before 8, but like, yo, we're all thinking like this line will form and be 1,000 people deep at like 6 a.m. There's no way. Like I know that I feel like the con picked 8 o'clock to try to be reasonable. I mean, they're trying to run a business here, so they got to follow rules of the casino. But 8 o'clock was, let me put it this way. I feel like 8 o'clock, Mitch, if you ever see this, hey girl, I feel like 8 o'clock was a reasonable decision for the con for business. Like you can't say like, be here at 5. But it was an unreasonable expectation for Keanu Reeves fans, for convention goers. Like that's just not how it works. Like if you're giving away an exclusive item, if you're selling like this is we only made 100 copies of this Spider-Man comic book and we're going to give it to the first 100 people that show up. If you say show up at 8, like people are going to show up at like 5 a.m. That's just how the fandom works. You know what I mean? If you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, baby. But long story short, at 5:30 a.m., there was a line, an unsanctioned line of about 35 people. Very small line. But the line is growing. And so all of a sudden, different people start showing up and imposing their will on this line, not knowing what the real verdict is. So a manager shows up, and a manager, like the hotel night manager, shows up, and he's like, yeah, if they stay on that side of the wall, they don't sit on the ground, and they stay out of people's ways coming up and down this big long hallway, yeah, they can be here. That's fine. And then you'd have like a floor manager, like a rando stuff shirt, and he would show up and be like, no, 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 they can't be on this side of the wall. They got to be on this side of the wall. Um, and then you'd have like the marching orders being divided among the hotel staff, and the hotel staff being like, well, no, 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 they should be shoulder to shoulder, 2 people deep, because we want to limit the length of the line. Well, we also have to make sure that they're not sitting on anything, but they can bring their own chair. Yeah, you can grab that chair from down the hall. No, 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 you can't grab that chair from down the hall. Put that back. It was all over the place, but I want to make this point salient. That confusion, that frustration, and most of the way that we were kind of, I don't want to say like abused, but there's no better word for it. Most of the way that we were like abused in terms of up, down, left, right, yes, no, was hotel staff being just as confused as we, the fans, were, as the con staff was trying to put this together. So, though it may sound like I'm complaining and it was an entirely shitty situation, um, I believe it was part and parcel to making this happen. This was so short notice and so small. Like, it blows the mind that it went off without a hitch. So for real, think of it this way: 100 people got to meet Keanu Reeves, right? Spoiler alert. That's the guy I got to meet, and I'll show you the picture and stuff. 100 people got to meet Keanu Reeves for a autograph signing meet and greet for only $25 total. And without exaggeration, it probably took, Mitch, if you ever see this, please tell me in the comment section, probably took about 500 people to make it happen. For 100 of us to meet Keanu Reeves and have a good experience, it was, I don't think it was any less than 500 people if you count all of Keanu's staff, everybody that had to review contracts at the last minute, all of his friends that were passing messages, all the hotel staff that had to deal with us, all the Terrificon volunteers who were fantastic. It is what it is. Okay, where are we in the story? So now we're in this line. Mitch does show up. Mitch, the legendary con owner, and he clarifies a ton of points for the staff. He clarifies it for us as we're standing in the line. He tells us that story about how, like, I got a phone call from Keanu Reeves, and he was like, hey, it's Keanu Reeves. And he's like, okay, asshole. And he hangs up the phone. And then he gets a call from Garney who says, like, yo, did you just hang up on Keanu Reeves? And he's like, that was Keanu Reeves. And so he's telling us that story. And he says, like, okay, here's the deal. These are the laws of the land. We are going to move you from this side of the hallway to this side of the hallway. We really do want you guys to stay 2 people deep so that we can reduce the thickness of the line. We are going to be having hotel staff doing loops. Like, literally, they would just walk up and down the line, chat at the front, walk up and down the line, making sure that the hotel policy of no sitting on the floor is enforced. And at like 8:30, he checks his watch and he goes, here's the deal. We're going to start handing out badges and stuff. Like, we're going to start like going through and making sure that you can be here. Because remember what the post said. You had to be a VIP member, and or you had to have a 3-day pass. You couldn't buy individual tickets Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It had to be the 3-day pass deal or the FOOT, Friends of Old Terrificon. Kind of like that FOOM comic thing. That's the joke, I suppose. I don't like Marvel. Sue me. So he clarifies all of that, and he says that at 10 o'clock, we're going to start going up and down the line, verifying tickets and handing out like swag bags. Because if you're FOOT, you get a bag with like a button and like just a t-shirt and a bunch of stuff. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to bring you guys into the convention first. We're going to bring you directly into a ballroom where there will be chairs. You will sit in the ballroom. You will not have your cell phone out. and then you will wait for Keanu Reeves, who's going to show up at 12:30, and then you guys can come in and meet him. Well, we're thrilled to hear this because if you remember my emphasis on the you can't sit here on the floor policy, now the math is going to start to make sense. I got there at 5:10. We're not meeting Keanu Reeves until 12:30. That means 7 hours of standing on a cement floor with the thinnest rug you've ever seen so that we can meet Keanu Reeves. 7 hours of standing. Like, girl, I haven't stood on pavement like that since retail. So there were people, because comic book fans are not a hardy lot. There were some people that had struggles with mobility issues. There were people that had some health complaints. I'm not guessing. I'm a big dude and I'm very healthy, but like there were people with health complaints, and I know that because they were complaining about their health. At one point, quite dramatically, somebody got let off in a stretcher because you know what I mean? Like if you're not used to doing a physical activity like standing in line, if you don't think standing in line is a physical activity, stand in line for 7 hours, dickhead. So people were not doing so hot, and so this prospect of, okay, we're going to be moved at 11 o'clock into the convention. We're going to be sat in a ballroom, and we can just sit and recharge and relax. We were so excited for chairs. I was joking about like getting in there and like taking a picture with the chair and like making that part of the story because we were just so stoked for sitting. Like I kept like Slav hunching over and over again. Not the same thing as sitting. And so we wait, and I film some segments, and I'll throw those segments in at the end if you want to see like kind of like unedited footage of me hanging out with the crowd. I was counting. I wanted to see like how many spots do we have left. So I went all the way to the front and I went head count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. People would notify me like, oh, my friend's in the bathroom. Okay, cool. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as I got higher up in the numbers and I was going down the line, people would like respond to their number. Like 69, everybody went yes. And then 42, I gave a big high five to. If you don't know Douglas Adams. I was very cognizant of how many people are at the line. This is important to the story for later. At 8:45, and I know it was at 8:45 because people were saying like, 15 more minutes, and then it's an hour before they start processing our badges and stuff. And that's, every milestone along this waiting in a corridor for 7 hours is exciting. So we're all excited. So 8:45, I go from the front of the line and I count every head all the way to the end. And people are hearing me because it's a game now. We're all looking for something to do. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, making eye contact, letting people know. And at 8:45 in the morning, I get all the way to the end of the line, and there are 97 people in line. And that's counting my friends in the bathroom. Okay, cool. So at 8:45 in the morning, I'm going back up and down the line, and I'm telling everybody the same like little bit of information. Hey, text your friends. There's 3 spots left. Text your friends. There's 3 spots left. You have a friend in the hotel. They asleep. If they want to meet Keanu Reeves, tell them it's still a possibility, but they got to get down here now. There are 3 spots left, which is kind of amazing because, like I said, everybody was going to line up at ass o'clock in the morning to get this special opportunity, right? But at 8, they told us don't start the line before 8. But if you had shown up at 8, like they told you, like you're a good boy, you weren't like me and you were an asshole waiting for an extra 3 hours and 10 minutes. If you showed up at 8, you would have gotten a spot. That's what's important. Because me and Mon, we're in line and we're just chugging the tears of the people on Facebook on the Terrificon posts, and they are so pissed. They're saying like, I got there at 5 a.m. and there's already a line. Hey, editor Ricky here in bed. I went back and forth as to whether or not I would want to include the original messages on the Facebook post. But even though I only have like a little over 1,000 subscribers, I do think it would be pretty terrible of me to like punch down in any capacity for like someone who doesn't have a social media presence. by putting up their post or their information. So I'll tell you this: you can go to Facebook right now, look up Terrificon, and then look up the posts. There are 2 posts about the Keanu Reeves signing, and you can go read the comments yourself. If you take that extra step, you're more than welcome to. But I didn't want to use the small platform I have to kind of out people who might not have been very good actors. And then there would other people that would say, "Oh yeah, 5 a.m. and the line's already full. Way to go, Terrificon." And there were other people saying on Thursday night when we were at the bar looking at the rules of how are we going to do this? How do we navigate this? Let's do this thing. Me and Mon, people were saying the line's already formed. What? Because I met the guys the next morning. The first people in line got there at 2:30. This message was going up on Facebook about there's already a line at 11 o'clock the night before is patently false. I have to believe that it was kind of like a joke, like LOL is already a line, but that's not true. But people on Facebook, the angrier ones who felt like this wasn't a widespread opportunity, maybe they didn't go to the con this year and they're absolutely kicking themselves for missing this opportunity. There were people that were really salty, saying immediately going to the convention did things wrong. Everybody's doing things wrong. Why wasn't this handled better? Why wasn't I involved? Is really the vibe of what I was getting. And so I was telling Mon, I was like, yo, I'm going to make it my personal crusade. I met this line. It's 100 people. You're with them for 8 hours. You're going to get to know them. There are going to be people in that line who will 100% remember me running up and down the line. I did my little shark microphone thing and I was interviewing people being like, hey, what do you think of Keanu Reeves? Why are you here? What's your favorite? Just really fun stuff. So people are going to remember me for sure. And I remember a lot of them. And so the faces that I saw on Facebook saying this stuff about I saw the line, blah, blah, blah. I was like, homie, you weren't there. Made it my personal mission. I was going to push back. And so if you go on their Facebook, you'll see me, Ricky Mailhot, laying it out, being like, hey guys, that's not true. The line wasn't full at 6 a.m. like you're saying. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're talking about. And so some people started to defend themselves later on, saying well, that's not what I was told at the front of the line. Well, I was at the back of the line and staff told me something different. They told me the line was capped, whatever. I can't speak to that knowledge. I don't know what staff was telling people. I don't know. What I do know is this. If there were 100 spots, we knew that, verified that through the Facebook page announcements. If we knew that, and I knew that Keanu Reeves was only meeting those 100 people, my ass is counting heads. My ass is doing what I was doing for fun, but this time with stakes involved. I'm walking up and down that line. Are there really 100 people here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let me tell you, when you start counting a line with any sort of authority, people just kind of assume that you work for the convention. I had people coming up to me asking me convention questions when I was trying to get back in line, because it looks like you know what you're supposed to be doing, but it's just for curiosity's sake for me. But if I had the stakes in the line, I'm either going to count 100 heads to see if I can meet Keanu Reeves, and then if I can't, I walk away with my tail between my legs, or walk off and eat crow. Well, guess what? Count the heads, man, because at 8:45 I counted them. Everybody was accounted for. Nobody was in the bathroom, and it was 97 people. Look, I'm not trying to break your heart, but I want you to reflect. If you're one of those people that hit me up on Facebook and said, someone in the line told me yada, 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 and so I took my ball and I went home. Look, I'm telling you, you had a spot in the line, but you walked away from it because you made the decision not to count heads all the way up to 8:45. And once we knew that there were 3 spots left, people in the line were looking at the end of the line. Okay, we're going to count 3 more people, and that's the 100, right? We're going to count 3 more people, and that's 100, right? And we waited. It wasn't until a couple seconds after the clock rolled over to 9 that 1, 2, 3 individuals showed up. There weren't groups of people or families or anything. It was 3 individuals. And then I was like, boom, that's 100. Unless people in this line leave. And I know one guy ended up going to the hospital. I don't know how that affected the line, and maybe one person got to move up. I don't know. But there were spots in the line at 8 o'clock. Even if you say like, okay, well, I missed it by 8:45. Like you said, they filled up at 9. That sucks. Dude, that's an hour after they told you to be there. It's an hour after. So like you can get mad about the line showing up, and you can maybe argue that people who were going to show up at 8 when they were told would have filled the line anyway, but that's not true. There were spots open until 9 o'clock. So like, even with this early start time, the hate that you're reading on Facebook, the hate that you're seeing in the YouTube comment sections or wherever else this information's coming out, those people, they're just butthurt. They're butthurt that, you know, one of their favorite human actors, Keanu Reeves, which is like everybody loves the guy, was doing such a limited signing. At this point, they're coming out to the line. We're getting closer to getting called in, and they're giving us the details. One thing signed, Berserker item only. If you don't have a Berserker item, we will be selling them inside, but that's the only way you can get an autograph. You will not bring out your phone. I don't know if it's his privacy, his quirks, whatever, but Keanu Reeves is only here as a favor to the fans and his friends, and so he doesn't want to have cameras stuck in his face. He doesn't like it. So we're not doing selfies on your phone. We're not recording him when he's talking. If we see your phone out when you are in the room with Keanu, we will black bag your ass, poof, and then pull you out of there. We will kick you out if we see your phone. So they said once at 11 o'clock, we're going to bring you in. We're going to process all your tickets. We're going to let you into the ballroom. You're going to get your chairs. You're going to sit there, wait for Keanu, okay? Editor Ricky here again. It's a complicated story. They made it clear that there were going to be no photos taken. Like, you can't take a photo with Keanu Reeves, and we felt wicked bummed about it. But then, after a little while, like, someone, the convention staff, Mitch, I don't know, but they donated us a cameraman who will be off to the side snapping photos of you and your Keanu Reeves interaction. And then when you're done, you can go to the area where they print photos. It's if you're familiar with the convention hall, it's literally in the big hall all the way to the back and the left. There's a little area where they print off photos for you that they've taken with celebrities, like your professional photos, and, you know, give them your name and your information. They'll find you, and then they'll print it off, all for the low cost of the photo, $20, $5 if you want a little plastic thing to carry it in. So 11 o'clock comes, they process our tickets. We're so excited to get in there. They bring us in 25 at a time. I'm in group B. I was literally person 26. No, I'm sorry. There was a dude in front of me that was 26. I was 27. Brandon was 28. So we were at the beginning of row 2 that gets brought in to get processed. So 25 went in, they get processed, and it took like 15 minutes. And then we go in next. They scan our tickets. They let us into a little ballroom antechamber immediately in the convention on the left-hand side. You'll see it. That's the ballroom we were in. But we weren't in the ballroom yet. It was this like room outside of the ballroom. And so now that we're in there, we're off the concourse of the convention. We're off the hotel and the casino floor. We're away from everybody. People collapsed en masse onto the floor. Like, we're going to sit on the floor finally. People start rubbing their feet. Thank God we can sit here. And then in comes convention staff, not hotel staff, convention staff, and they're saying, on your feet. They're not letting anybody in. People pop in to be like, oh, let me just pop in here and I'm looking around the convention. And the staff eventually closed the doors to the main concourse, being like, no, the only people allowed to be in here are the ones with the red bands on their wrist. You're the Keanu people. We only had 100 of these made. 100 of those, that's the fans that get to meet Keanu. So we're all banded up. We're in there. And even though they closed the doors, we're still stuck. We can't stand up. And we've been told all day, don't worry, the chairs are coming, you can sit. Well, they decided last minute, as all of this was done, that the main ballroom is going to be used for Keanu Reeves' privacy and meeting all the other people. So, like, Keanu met the staff of the convention. Keanu met a group of Boy Scouts who were had a booth set up in this little antechamber off the ballroom. So all those photos took place before any of the fans got to. You know what? I get it. You made this happen. You get to do it. It was in the hallway. People were excited. Hey, we're in the 100. Oh my God, we're gonna make this happen. This is really happening. We're so excited. The moment we realized the chairs weren't coming and they were still forcing us to stand up on this floor and we're tired and now we're approaching hour 8, that's when the mood started to turn sour. That's where I felt like that's if I'm being fair to the con, if I'm being fair to Mitch for making this happen and all of the staff that worked their asses off, their biggest area of opportunity is realizing when enough was enough. Like there were some staff members that very militaristic, I would describe, and you know what, it was a unique situation in terms of like managing an A-level celebrity. That was very unique, but very very terse, I'll put it, in terms of like on your feet soldier is what you got from them. But like there was no accountability for comfort. Nobody wanted to make us comfortable. That's what it felt like. It felt like it was okay. Your objective is Keanu Reeves. Great. We're going to suspend the Geneva Convention for the next 8 hours. And like, we don't give a shit. They were asking us to like self-police. Like if someone needs to go to the bathroom, cool, go to the bathroom. But they made it very clear. Once we're in that ballroom, you're in. You should go to the bathroom now. They originally said once you're in the ballroom, you can use the bathroom in the chairs. There is an adjoining bathroom. But when we were in that like locked off antechamber and they knew that was happening, they were like, you use the bathroom now, get it out now, which is like also kind of fucked. Like you don't know everybody's. I'm not like a bladder shy kind of person. I'm not like someone who needs to use the bathroom a lot, but like there are kidney conditions that exist in human beings that require someone to have access to a bathroom at a moment's notice. There's gastrointestinal issues, Crohn's, whatever it is. I don't know what your thing is, man. But like, I'm also not going to make unilateral decisions medically for everybody in the line of like, for the next hour and a half, no one can use the bathroom. That got gross. That's where I felt like icky. Listen, I'm never going to join a mob and I don't like complaining in public. I'll complain to you guys. But in that line, I was trying to remain positive and I was bitching to Mon a little bit about standing and my feet hurting, but like I'm not going to like put up a soapbox and be like, "We deserve better." But there were definitely people that were we'll call them more than angry. They were more than upset that they couldn't use the bathroom. Their feet were hurting. And it did, I think, if I were to venture a guess, I would say 20% of that line soured on the entirety of the experience. I think their meeting of Keanu after the fact, of course, it's a bright spot, right, in your memory. But it is impossible to not mention the story of how uncomfortable and brutal it was to make it happen. I have enough faith after seeing how the rest of this convention has been running. I have enough faith to believe that they'll take these lessons and they'll learn different ways to make people comfortable in the future. But being the first guinea pig test subjects for how this would go off at last minute, this sucked. This was not a fun experience. Comfort was not a thing. You had to suspend your comfort to meet Keanu Reeves. And in that way, we became a kind of fun little club. This group of 100 people that endured physical torment so that we could meet Keanu Reeves, and it culminated in this picture. I'll say this about the man. Keanu is very quiet. He's very sweet, but he's very quiet. I think he's a kind of private person. And so in these large public spectacle settings, it's perceptible that he's uncomfortable. It is what it is. Homie signed up for this. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's rich enough, famous enough, and happy and successful enough that he doesn't ever have to do anything like this. But he did it to support his friend I'm torn on this. Like, he did it to support his friend, but we didn't pay for anything. It wasn't like if you buy the latest trade paperback that of Berserker, it goes into my friend's pocket, and that makes sense, and I'm going to help him out. It was 100 people getting autographs for free, and then the photograph was free. We only had to pay for the photo, like for the physical photo itself at the end. I did get a copy. It's right here. But like, if you wanted the digital copy and the autograph, and you brought your own comic book, you could pay nothing for the entire experience. So like, did it really benefit his friend? Because if it was for the hype, it was definitely hype. There's only 100 people out of like 6,000 people are going to come to this convention this weekend, and 100 people got this experience. So it is super duper de-duper exclusive. And we're in like a really cool club now. I see the people with the red band, and I'm like, yo, we survived. And it was fun. Parts of it were fun. The suspension of human rights didn't feel great. But I wanted to tell all this. The whole point of me telling this story is, one, because it's a really weird story, and unless there's another YouTuber who's going to sit here for almost 40 minutes and tell you the whole deal, you wouldn't hear it, because it's just 100 fans that got to meet him and experience this stuff. But the main motivation is like, I'm not the guy to be like, yo, fake news or anything like that. I'm not that guy. But I got to tell you, the speed at which people were making things up on Facebook to deride what was going on, the speed at which people were resharing, oh yeah, I just saw this. And I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? It shocked me. Like, me and Brandon were in the line, and at one point I counted, we were under 50, or we had just gone over 50. The number 50 is sticking in my head, but I can't speak to the time. The only time I can specifically speak to was that 8:45, and that we were at 97. But it was earlier. It was earlier than 8. I think it was like 7:00, and we were online, and people were like, "Oh, the line's already full, and it's before 8. Way to go, Terrificon!" And we were in the line, and we're like, "There's 50 people here. What are you talking about?" Like, if I could give the specific time, I would, to add credibility to the story. But like, there's 50 of us, and we're in line, and we're looking at the fact, and I just finished counting, and it's like, where are you getting this information? And so I don't want to be like, the people in the comment section are liars, but like, either like that one unfortunate dude who didn't count. I'm sorry you didn't count. You missed out on Keanu, dude. That sucks. But there were so many comments about like, the line's already full. It's 11:00 the night before. No, it isn't. The first people got there at 2. That's not true. Oh, the line's already full. It's only 7:15. What? It's only 50 people. What are you talking about? So, I mean, we were saying it in line. They hate us because they ain't us. They hate us because they're anus. They're unhappy because they couldn't have this like really cool experience to meet like an icon in your life. I get that. That sucks. It sucks that the list wasn't even 200 people. It moved so quickly. The whole process was so strict and regimented, that like, I feel like the number could have been 200, but they didn't want to start a line with 200, make people wait 8 hours, and at the last second be like, hey, we could only fit 175. 100 was a nice round number, and it worked. I don't know if they would have been able to do it with more. I think they would have been able to, but like, there were so many X factors. Like, when you're as big as Keanu Reeves, if he had seen the 100 people and been like, I'm feeling overwhelmed later, he absolutely could have, and no one would have even hated him. He's Keanu Reeves, for crying out loud. But it did. It relatively went off without a hitch. There were some suspensions of human rights. People online be hating. But I got to meet Keanu Reeves.